Hello everyone, welcome to Pepcoding. In this video, we are going to look at the fifth pattern. So let's see this pattern. So let's see that for n equals to 5, right? This is the pattern for n equals to 5. I have 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I have 5 rows. In the first row, there are 2 spaces and 1 star. Okay, so 2 spaces, 1 star. In the second row, I have 1 space, and 3 stars. So 1 space and 3 stars. In the next row, I have 0 spaces. So 0 spaces and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 stars. So 0 spaces and 5 stars. In the next row, I have 1 space and then 3 stars again. So 1 space and 3 stars again. In the next row, I have 2 spaces and then 1 star again. So 2 spaces and 1 star again. Okay. Now what we can see in this pattern is that the number of spaces are decreasing at first. So the number of spaces are decreasing at first. They become 0 at the halfway point and then they start increasing again. Right. So the number of spaces, let's make a triangle like this. So these are the spaces. They are decreasing at first and then they start increasing at the halfway point. Also, for the stars, they're increasing by 2. We have 1, then 2, 1, then 3, and then 5. So they are increasing by 2. My stars are increasing by 2. My spaces are decreasing by 1. Right? At the halfway point, they're still increasing by 2, decreasing by 1. At the halfway point, they change and they start increasing by 1. Here they start decreasing by 2 again. Here they start decreasing by 2. Okay. This happens at the halfway point. So here we have this as a triangle and then the stars start decreasing again. So what we'll do is we'll use the same thing. We'll use the row, work and preparation or the approach. The row, work and preparation. First what we'll do is let's see how many rows that we have to print. The rows will start from 1 and we have to print 5 rows. For n equals to 5, we have to print 5 rows. So we will print n rows. At total, we are going to print n rows, right? This row will go till n. Now, I've gotten the rows. Now I have to do the work. What is the work that needs to be done? Well, first I have to print the spaces. Then I have to print the stars. Okay. And what are the spaces here? Let's say number of spaces. My number of spaces are equal to 2, which is equals to n by 2, right? So in the first row, I have my number of spaces equals to 2, which is equals to n by 2, right? Because it is equals to 5 by 2. So my number of spaces are n by 2. And my number of stars is 1. So I'll start my number of stars with 1 and I'll start my number of spaces with n by 2. Okay. So number of spaces will be n by 2 and number of stars will be 1. Now we are not worrying about the halfway point yet. I'm just doing what the work that needs to be done. That is the preparation. This part that we are changing it at the halfway is the preparation. But now I'm only focused on the work that needs to be done. Okay. Now what I'll do, the work I'll do is, first I have to print spaces. So let's make a for loop. Let's call this count of spaces. This will go from 1 till my number of spaces. And it will print the spaces. Okay, let's say \d. Now I have to print the stars because my pattern is something like this, right? 2 spaces, then a star, then 1 space, then 3 stars, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 stars, then 1 space, and then 3 stars, then 2 spaces, and then 1 star. Right? We have a pattern like this. So what we have to do is, now I have to print the stars after the spaces. So this loop will run. Let's call this count of stars from 1 till my number of stars. Okay, and then I'll print the stars. Right, I'm just writing a pseudo code. Now I've done the work that I have to do. I've done the rows. I've handled the rows. I've handled the work. Now I have to do the preparation. Now what is the preparation actually? Let's see. At the halfway point, first what I see is that the number of spaces are decreasing by 1. I see that. Okay, I see that at the till the halfway point, my number of spaces are decreasing by 1. They are decreasing by 1 till the halfway point, and then they are and the stars are increasing by 2 till the halfway point. So what I'll do is, if I'll say that if my rows is less than or equal to n by 2, if it is less than or equal to n by 2 till the halfway point, right? 3 is my halfway point, and it is less than or equal to n by 2. Till here, if my rows is less than or equal to n by 2, I'll decrease the stars by 2 minus equals, so NST will be NST minus 2, and my number of spaces, number of stars are increasing, right? So number of stars are increasing, so my NST would be NST plus 2, and my number of spaces will be number of spaces minus 1, right? We can also write this as, we can also write the same thing as the number of stars minus equals to 2, the number of spaces plus. Again writing it wrong. This is plus equals to 2 and minus 1. So the number of spaces are decreasing by 1 and the number of stars are increasing by 2. Else, if not this, we'll go to this part. Till here, we are decreasing the spaces and increasing the stars. But after this, we are increasing the spaces and decreasing the stars. So we are increasing the spaces and we are decreasing the stars. Right? This is my preparation. This is my preparation that I'm doing. I'm doing this preparation. The preparation is that my number of spaces are decreasing at first till the halfway point, and my number of stars are increasing at first till the halfway. This will be more clear a little later. And then I also have to print to the next line. That is also my preparation. Okay. So my rows are done, my work is done, and my preparation is done. Okay. This is my pseudo. So let's code this. I already have a scanner. I have to take an input n. So scn.nextInt. What are the number of spaces that I'm going to start with? The number of spaces are n by 2, and the number of stars are 1. Right? Also, now I'll do the rows. So I'll run a for loop. Let's call this row, and this row will run from 1 till n. Now here I have to do two things. I have to print the spaces first, then I have to print the stars, and this is my work. To print the spaces and to print the stars is my work. Then I'll do the preparation. Okay, so in my spaces, I'll have a count of spaces which will run from 1 till number of spaces. Similarly, for stars, I will have a for loop which will be represented by count of stars, which will run from 1 till my number of stars, and then count of stars will increase. The number of spaces, this spaces work is to print the spaces, right? So we'll just print spaces here. Here we just have to print the stars. Okay, we have printed the spaces, we have printed the stars. We have to do the preparation. And what is the preparation? The preparation is that if my row is less than equal to n by 2, then I'm going to increase the number of stars by 2 and decrease the number of spaces by 1. Else, I'm just going to do the reverse of it. I'm going to increase the number of spaces and decrease the number of stars. So increase the number of spaces and decrease the number of stars by 2. I've done the preparation, I've done the stars, I've done the spaces. Also, I have to go to the next line. So my code is done. Let's run this. It is accepted. Let's submit this code. Okay, it is submitted. So I hope you understand this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.